Hi, I'm Jeff Murrah, and I want to welcome you to True Texas History. Today, I'm dealing with a question that was asked in a city council meeting in Gonzales, Texas. One of the local residents who had some concern about the Confederate statue in town and Confederate Square posed the question, what do I tell my granddaughter? And the guy had prefaced it with, I didn't even know there was a Confederate Square. When I see reporting like this, it blows my mind. And I'll go ahead and be honest with you. Gonzales, Texas hits home because that's where a lot of my family came from. And I don't even know how many generations we have from that community. We go back to some of the Green DeWitt colonists that went in there. But anyways, my answer is tell them the truth. Talk about what happened in Gonzales. Don't sugarcoat it. Just go ahead and talk about what happened in the city and what's happened in that community. That community is known for volunteers. Going back to the time of the Texas independence, you had the Immortal 32, and when the call came for people to defend their homes again, when the war between the states came up, men in Gonzales volunteered, and they made some magnificent contributions. You had some of the people in the Texas Brigade, you had Terry's Texas Rangers, and numerous other regiments. I'm not going to go into that today. But let's suffice, they made a lot of significant sacrifices in defending. Because keep in mind, at the time when a lot of this went down, the President of the United States issued a call for troops to invade the South. And these people saw it as, gee, they're fixing to invade us. This is serious. And they took it serious. And they went ahead and volunteered. These are men that went ahead and did their duty. And there in the town, the people kept the town going during that time, in spite of the hardships. At one point, when the Union Navy was going up and down the coast, bombarding cities, because keep in mind that when it comes down to cannonballs, they're indiscriminate. When a cannonball comes into your community, it does not look at what color you are, it does not look at your religion, it just comes down, goes boom. And there in Gonzales, they were afraid of an invasion coming up the Guadalupe River. So they built a large earthen fort wall, located just outside of town. Now, the fort itself was built with slave labor, but it was a point of contention for a lot of people because initially the Confederate government wanted to do it without having to pay anyone. And the folks there, especially under Governor Murrah, said, no, if you are going to use their labor, you are going to pay them for it. You do not just take people's labor. That's uncalled for. And so they ended up paying for the work that was done there at Fort Wall. Now, unfortunately, Fort Wall is not well marked. It's an earthen fort. Not much has been done to develop the area. And then after the war, they went through some tough times. There were some feuds that went through the area. There was some banditry. You could tell them those stories, how the city overcame that. You could talk about how when the Yankee troops were put there, how, if you didn't sing the right song going down the street, they'd shoot you. And there were some travesties. The troops made a point of using the mail, the mail stagecoach for target practice whenever it went in and out of town. These are things in Gonzales' history that well, gee, we're not going to tell that part. Instead, we'll just go ahead and try to remake the whole thing. No, tell them the truth. Talk about what happened. And they overcame that. In fact, that same square, there was another monument to the women who took care of the town and took care of the people during that time. Gee, in all those proceedings, they were talking about, wow, we need something special for the women and the refugees. Well, there is a monument there in town about that. They don't talk about that one very much in the news, do they? Gonzales also became very prosperous after the war with a lot of the cattle drives coming out of the area. And, some people worked those cattle drives. They were desperate for money, and they found ways to go ahead and make it on those cattle drives. And they went through a lot of hardships. And a lot of those men who worked the cattle drives, they came back and they used their wealth to improve the town. So if you go into the town, you see a lot of these nice old homes. That's because that's when they were built, with a lot of that cattle money and later some of the early oil money that came in. So this is a town that has overcome obstacles and made the most of things. A lot of times it gets a reputation for not wanting to change. Well, that's been conservative over the years, but they have stayed true to a set of values, and they have always answered the call whenever a call went out for volunteers, and they've been willing to take care of their families and their homes there. That's the story you tell. Tell them the truth about Gonzales and about what happened there, about what went down, and why they go ahead and have statues there to the Texas Revolution, to Confederate soldiers, and to others. They're there for a reason. Understand that reason. You may not like it, but understand it, accept it, because it's previous generations sending a message to future generations about values, what's important, when you need to take a stand, when you not need to take a stand, things like that. I know Gonzales has got tons of stories. I mean, there's a story behind when the clock stopped operating. There's a story behind the illegal abortion mills that were shut down. There's a lot of stories there, if you're willing to tell them and if people are willing to look. So if you're one of those people there in that community, just tell your daughter the truth. Find out the history, and then you will know what to tell them. So until next time, this is Jeff Murrah, wishing you well. Vaya con Dios, my friends. Goodbye.